Listen to that like that. Is it going?
It's going.
All right. Well, we're recording.
Oh, are we?
Yeah.
Has it been recording this whole time?
It's been recording for about 2-3 minutes. Right when you were talking about being,
I was like, I bet you it's recording now.
But yeah, when you're talking about it, being worried about anything being said. No, man. Thank you for being on my the first show, man. First official show.
Thank you for having me on as your first guest. I'm honored.
So, you showed up. You showed up today. And you had that shirt on, that FJB shirt on. I was gonna wear a black shirt, and dude, these shirts are the fucking best, man.
I mean, it's accurate.
Yeah,
it's the way I truly feel. I just this whole thing with what's going on in the country right now is just it's absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
It's, I gotta take a deep breath on it.
I know it's gonna be so easier to get you wired up.
Like I told you earlier on the way over here, I talked to another buddy and he got me fired up. It doesn't take me much to get fired up on Joe Biden and what the Democrats are doing to the country right now. It's just.
I mean, it hasn't. From like your job, other than like, I know you guys were shut down for like in the beginning of the pandemic, right? You were considered essential because of construction. So did you ever have to stay home at all during the pandemic?
I only had to stay home for 2 weeks because a coworker of mine, I had a dry cough from allergies.
Yeah.
And, they freaked everybody out early on. And he went and said something about my cough, and they sent me home for 2 weeks without a test or anything.
Yeah.
But no, outside of that, I've been working the whole time.
But yeah, so like in the beginning, the pandemic, all that bullshit, you didn't get. I don't think I ever remember you actually having to not go to work. So other than like just the having to get tested when when we went to Mexico and shit like that,
right.
has any of it affected you like monetarily?
No, not until Joe Biden got into office and gas prices and everything else start rising.
Yeah, that fucked everybody.
That's just and that's the fact. And I'm scared of what's coming. It's only getting worse.
Well, I was actually when I was at the gym today. Of course, a lot of the MSM has been very quiet about Joe Biden's kind of presidency and any flaws. Like I watched a guy last week. He was some senator or something like that, and the guy was on CNN, and the guy flat out asked him about the dismal jobs report, and the guy says, "Well, let's not talk about that. Let's only focus on the positive. Let's focus only on the good stuff." And he had like 2 things to the guy's other like 5 negative. And so when I saw this today, I saw on the news, it talked about the supply chain issues.
Right.
They said it's expected to last for 18 more months now.
Right. Well, again, it's the things that it's frustrating. It's frustrating. We don't live in a third world country. Yeah. But we're starting to see things happen that you would expect in other parts of the world. Yeah. And that's just not, say what, everybody thinks, oh, Trump was terrible. Trump tweeted mean things. Trump said this. Yeah. Trump said that.
Mean orange guy.
But if you looked at the economy, even after the pandemic started, I mean, everything was still just fine. Yeah. And now here we are, new policies, canceling out some of Trump's policies and stuff like that. And here we are just, I'm afraid, I have kids, and they're saying now that, oh, you better buy Christmas presents now if you want to have presents for your kids when Christmas rolls around. Yeah. And that's just ridiculous.
It's outrageous.
It's just, I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. It's frustrating.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
Well, change topic a little bit. I warned you beforehand.
I'm trying to be really nice and not, it doesn't take much to get me fired up. And I'm holding back a lot.
Man, don't hold back. That's what this is for. Have fun, man. Just have fun. By the way, this song right here, Soundgarden Black Hole Sun, I actually stole this album. Super unknown. It was a CD. I stole it from Blockbuster Music, the one that used to be at the corner of Kirkendall and Lowetta.
Yeah.
Remember that? I went in there and actually stole this CD when I was like 12 years old, 13 years old.
Wow.
I was with Ryan Horgan.
Yeah, you should have gone to prison earlier on, huh?
Hey, but you want to know what's funny? I balanced it out. I actually stole 2 CDs. One was the Snoop Dogg Pound.
That's the other one you stole?
Yeah, I stole 2 of them. Man, I tell you what, this is absolutely ridiculous. I'm sorry. Hold on. This is hello, this is Jason. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Bye. Bye-bye.
What was that?
Jeez. This is why you're not supposed to have your phone in here.
Yeah.
This is my goddamn answering service. Want to call me. So I guess now what I'm going to have to do is make sure that because normally I can just ignore them, and it's not even an emergency. Not even an emergency. But they want to call 2 and 3 times. So
you got a claim?
No.
Oh.
But I apologize because the phone was fucking ringing and it's going off my watch. So I guess now little lesson for me is what I'm going to be doing when we're doing this is I'm going to be I have to make sure that my secretary gets
Might need to take your watch off too, so you're not getting that sort of stuff.
Sorry. So I want to change topics with you a little bit because I think for content or not for to content, I think to kind of give everybody kind of a perspective of us, who we are. I want to start out, and I want you to tell the story how you got fucked at Worlds.
Oh boy.
I want to hear this story.
Well, what year was that? That was 2000. It was 2002 Worlds. It was that was actually after that Worlds. Is when I walked away from the sport. I was just really tired of the politics of the sport, and at Worlds, the way they decide how you get your races, which you're very much aware of it, is if you win it at Outdoor Nationals at the World Team Trials, that's your race at Worlds.
Right.
And so I had one, I believe it was the last man out at Outdoor Nationals. That was my race. And my race was coming up, and Harry Vogel was... he had won the points elimination race, and that was going to be the last race of Worlds.
He won that at Outdoor Nationals?
He won at Outdoor Nationals. Okay. That was his race.
All right.
And we had through the team meetings and everything, it had already been, determined who was in what races, and Harry was not having good Worlds at all. And for whatever reason, he wanted to swap races with me. Well, I had no problem with that, so because I liked the points elimination race just as much as I liked the elimination race, and so I agreed to that.
How long is the points elimination race?
The points elimination race. Oh,
is it 20K?
I believe it was a 20K. I think the elimination was 15K and the points elimination was a 20K, okay. I believe.
Okay.
And so I agreed to switch races with him. He was going to race the elimination race, which was first, and then I would race the points elimination, which was supposed to be his race. And he went out and he raced that race, and he ended up. I don't know what was going on with him. He quit. He was eliminated. He was one of the first eliminations. Well, I was getting ready for the points elimination.
So he got knocked out almost immediately.
Got knocked out almost immediately.
Okay.
And I was getting ready for the points elimination race, and it was literally, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes before the race, the coaches came to me and said, we're giving Harry the points elimination race back. And I was like, wait a second. Like, this was going to be my last race, at Worlds.
Who was coach that year?
Charlie Lucas.
Okay.
And, so they, the story that I was given is Harry's mother had threatened to sue if they didn't give him his race back, even though he raced my race, and and it was fair. Everything was fair. And but anyways, they took the race and they gave it to Harry, and I didn't even get to race. So the last 2 races I did not get to race, and and I just said, I'm done. I just, after that, he ended up quitting in that one as well. He didn't even, didn't compete in it or anything. I'm on the rail. I was furious. I was absolutely furious. I was on the rail every time he came around. I was trying to reach over that wall and grab him. I just, but that was it. That was, I just couldn't handle it anymore after that. That was the straw that broke the camel's back with me in the sport. And, after that Worlds, I chose to walk away, and, I skated a little bit of ice after that. I was doing well on ice. I went to Marquette for a short period. And then from there I went to Calgary for a little bit, and like I said, I was doing well on it, but I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
I don't like the cold. I just, it was at the time I wasn't in any program, and they don't have any programs like they do now, for the inline skaters switching to ice.
Yeah.
So it was costing me money out of my pocket to train on ice and try to make something out of it. And I just chose to join the real world at that time. It was a tough decision, but it was a decision I made, and I don't regret it.
Yeah. Cause you moved, did you move straight to New York from there?
No. I came back home and got a real job like a normal person.
Didn't you worked at T-Mobile or something like that for FMC?
I went to work for FMC Technologies, which they're a oil and gas service company.
Okay.
And I worked as a technician for them for a little bit, and then I went to this was all trying to find my way. You know? I was trying to find my way. I had no idea what I wanted to do, where I needed to be. I just knew that I had to figure something out, because all the years I spent skating, I didn't go to school. I didn't go to college.
Yeah.
I never looked, and this was a poor decision on my end. In hindsight, it was a poor decision on my end, not thinking about the future past skating at the time.
Yeah.
But
kind of hard when we're that young, and you really what do you you're 17, 18, 19 years old.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's hard. You're so good at what it is you're doing at that age, and it's hard to think past it.
Yeah.
You don't ever think that, how many more years am I going to be doing this? At the time, I was still hopeful that inline speed skating would find its way to the Olympics.
Yeah.
Just like everyone else.
Yeah. And we know that's never going to fucking happen.
Yeah.
For whatever fucking reason.
So, it's just, it took me a little while to find my way.
Yeah.
But I finally did, and I'm glad I made the decisions I did.
Yeah. So I was thinking about, so actually, you and I talked about this because I kind of told this story, which I thought was funny. So I want to back up a little bit. I've told this story, I think one time on here, that you actually taught me how to speed skate. So I was figure skating.
Right.
You know, we're in little, you know, and I think it's funny because the uniforms in figure skating are so fucking ridiculous. For guys, for guys, it's literally a leotard. You wear a leotard and it fucking snaps between your legs and shit, and you wear these pants.
Right.
And the whole and it's all, you know, it's all flashy and shit. And it's fucking ridiculous. But I traded that to go wear a fucking spandex suit.
A one-piece spandex suit. You know, we've talked about. We've known each other for 30 years now, and we've spent a lot of time together. So we've talked about this stuff before, but you know, obviously the speed skaters and the figure skaters.
Yeah.
The speed skaters always teased the male figure skaters.
Yeah.
You know. You know, that's gay.
They're all gay. Yeah.
You're you know, but in all reality, you were smart. You were. I mean, you got to do the lifts on the girls. I'm like, Jason, you need to come over to the straight side. Be a speed skater. We're a lot cooler, but no, you got to dance with the girls.
Yeah. I was a fucking teacup one time. I mean, granted, I was young when I did it. My parents made me do it. They made me figure skate because my sister wanted to do it. And so they said that she couldn't do it unless I did it as well. So I had to continue doing it. And finally, when I was 10, I said, fuck this. I'm done. It was horrible because the reality was, you're right. Like 90% of the men that are the guys that are in that, they were gay. Now, there was a couple guys that, there's a guy named Joseph Shafee and Josh Allen. Josh and Jennifer Allen, they were twins. Josh was not gay. Joseph Shafee was not gay, but every other male out there was gay. And like, but Josh and Joseph, they were older than me. They were way older than I was. And so I couldn't hang out with them. And it was like, I was almost like an outcast because I didn't fit into that environment. So I was just like, fuck this. I'm done. I don't want to be involved in it anymore. And, I quit, and I actually didn't, but my sister, I think something happened for a couple years, whatever, but I was still involved there at the skating rink. And yeah, we used to, like, I would be at the sessions and shit like that. And one day you grabbed me because I was out there doing the races, and you grabbed me and you were like, ooh, that was a good one. I get so many compliments on my burps.
Yeah.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
I would say bless you, but I'll hold that for your parts, you know?
So I remember vividly that, like, inlines were a pretty new thing. A lot of the kids still had, like, the hard boots. Like the real good inlines hadn't, like, come out yet.
Yeah, the Zanstra hard plastic boots.
Yeah.
The hard plastic, yeah.
And so I was out there. I forget what I was doing. And you grabbed me and you were like, hey, man, let's try. You asked about you're like, hey, you want to learn how to do a relay? And
you were fast even on those figure skates. You know, I knew at the time that you had what it took to be a good speed skater.
Yeah, so I was like, thank God. And so you grabbed me, you're like, hey, let's do relay. And so you taught me how to do a relay, which is ironic because a few years later, I got us fucking disqualified at nationals for fucking up a relay.
That was tough too because, man,
we were way ahead.
We didn't. I mean, the only way we weren't going to win is if a mistake was made like that.
And it was me. I fucked it up because it was It was you, Jordan Nelson.
That was the sophomore four-man, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was you, Jordan Nelson. Who else was it? Me and was it Lawrence Whittington?
No, me, you, Jordan. It might have been Lawrence.
I think it was Lawrence.
Lawrence Whittington.
Yeah. I was actually thinking about Lawrence the other day.
Yeah.
Because, Lawrence's father played for the Oilers when they were still here in Houston. Yeah. And Lawrence was a big guy.
Yeah.
And Lawrence and I were, he would always, like my dad would trick you guys all to come stay at our house.
Right.
The deal, Lawrence's family lived in Dallas. And so in order for him to practice with us, he had to come stay with people. And so my dad, he would come stay with us, but the deal was he made a deal with his parents for him to come stay with us. And that was that Lawrence would help do the yard work. So my dad fucked him over on that one. But I remember vividly is like Lawrence was a big kid because he was like 6'2", 6'3" at 14 years old.
Yeah.
He was big. And I
don't think he's grown any since. I think he's about the same size now.
I think he's just a little bit bigger. I think he's bigger round now.
Sorry, Lawrence, if you watch this.
But my dad walked out the back door of the house, and Lawrence was curled up in a fucking ball, sleeping in the grass, hiding. He was hiding between like the pump house and the house, so my dad couldn't find him.
Well, your dad was a slave driver.
My dad was bad. My dad was really bad. He obviously made me work a lot, but it was great because you would come over, or like Ryan Horgan or Jordan, anybody who would stay the weekend, he'd put everybody to fucking work, man. Yep. That shit was awesome.
I remember those days. You reminded me a lot of my my great grandfather at the time. That guy, man, he would just same type of stuff. Like I spent a good majority of my young life with my grandparents, and every time my great grandfather would come around, I don't know what it was with this guy in digging, but it seemed like he always had a shovel in his car ready for me to dig a hole. I dug so many holes and ditches and
out on his property or
anywhere.
Where?
It didn't matter. Holes for no reason. Holes for no reason. At his house one time, I had to dig a ditch. He was having water drainage issues, and he was older. But man, he'd give me the shovel, and he'd just sit there in his lawn chair and watch me dig that hole or trench, whatever I'm digging the whole day. It just reminded me. Your dad reminds me of. I remember those days.
Yeah,
vividly.
But yeah. So we started skating, and it's funny because you and I, and I told this story, and I'll progress to the point where I'm going to get to worlds. I'm going to talk about a couple of our worlds here. But it was funny because you and I, you're only 6 months older than I am.
Right.
But because the way skating was, it was based on your birthday being like January 1.
Right.
And so you were always 1 year ahead of me in division. Yeah. And so when we were freshman boy, when I was first year, you were second year. And then when I was second year, you were first year sophomore. So we didn't compete.
Right.
And so it was weird as being young that we would compete every other year. So it was like really fucking hard. And then all of a sudden now we're sophomore. When we become sophomore, it didn't matter anymore because we were always competing because we skated up because we were fast.
Yeah.
So we skated up and we were always competing for the junior or for the senior four-mans and stuff like that.
Right.
I don't think I've told this. I've really not talked about. Obviously, we've known each other for like 30 years.
Yeah.
But there was a huge period of time that you and I did not talk.
Right. That was
years.
It was we started talking about it. We started off great friends.
Yeah.
I was over at your house all the time. You were over at my house all the time. We were great friends. We've always got along.
Yeah.
And then, just the competitiveness, and it's kind of sad, but the coaches, the parents, it just, we were pitted against each other, and there's nothing you can do about it, because at that age, you only see what's right in front of you. You don't take a step back and analyze the situation, and we were just at each other's throats. It was just, and that was, on top of that, we were, both of us are super competitive, and, so yeah, I mean, I don't know, what was it, about probably freshman is when things really started going downhill.
Yeah. Because that was the first year I made the world team the first time.
Yeah.
When I was 14.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we ended up, we were on the junior world team together, and I mean, we were with each other every single day.
Yeah.
Through residency, through, at worlds and stuff, and we didn't even talk. Even when we were together every single day, we didn't talk, you know? And, that was, that was rough. That was awkward.
Yeah. Say the least.
But, it was, in hindsight, obviously we've reconnected,
We live a mile away from each other now.
Yep. And now we see each other just about every day.
Pretty close.
Just about.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I didn't make it to Stella's football game today, but met up with you guys afterwards.
How dare you?
I know.
How dare you?
I'm a horrible uncle.
How dare you have something else that you have to do other than come to Stella's football
I know.
game?
Yeah, I know. I was like, well, and she read me the riot act for it today too.
As well she should have.
First thing she said was, "You were supposed to be at my game."
Yeah.
Well, she didn't say it that quiet. She likes to yell.
Yeah, she does like to yell.
She yelled at me.
I think she gets that from me. I'm a yeller.
That's something I always giggle about to my mom a lot, because obviously I'm kind of at this point in my life kind of known for being an asshole, kind of notorious for doing things I shouldn't be doing. And which is going to get us to some of the world's discussions. But it's so funny because I talk to Mom about this all the time, and I said this to you the other day. You're like, what's that? Is it Inside Out? Is that the cartoon?
Yeah, Inside Out.
Where it's this girl or whatever, and all of her little emotions or anything, and they're these characters.
Yeah.
And I swear to God, I think of you as the little flame guy, the little fire guy that just fucking shit just starts flying out of his head. And it's the funniest thing because I see it like now I'm kind of like, I'm calm now, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so, but you on the other hand, you'll just like, boom, you'll flip a fucking switch.
Yeah. I'm working on that. I'm working on that. I'm turning 40 and I'm still having to work on that. These kids will push your buttons, man, and it doesn't take much to push mine. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And I think Stella's a lot like I am, and that makes it a little harder.
Yeah.
My poor little girl. I'm just trying to toughen her up for the real world and all the when all the boys start coming around.
I'll tell you what, I don't think she's not going to take anybody's shit. She's not going to take. There's not going to be a boy that's going to stand a chance with her. I mean, I don't think that you or Samantha are going to have to do anything to ward her off from boys or anything. She's just not going to take any boy's shit.
Yeah,
which is, hey, I think that's the way it should be with any little girl.
Yeah, and I'm hopeful that I don't ever have to really do anything because I have my little chunk that's not too far behind, and I'm hoping that he's going to be the enforcer.
Oh man, no, I think about it. I think about it all the time, like either like the scene from like Bad Boys, or the scene from Den of Thieves.
Absolutely.
When Stella finally has that boy come over or whatever, and you get like me and maybe Narada and Sean and I don't know, maybe Brian. I don't know.
Brian's a little soft.
He's a little soft. Trey, but get us all over there and just like
we'll have Brian there to kind of balance it out a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, guys.
Yeah.
All right. I think he got the point.
Yeah, because I think Brian, it's so funny because Brian is Brian. Trey claims that Brian's super competitive.
I haven't seen it.
Never seen it one time.
No,
never seen one. I mean, we did a golf tournament last Monday, and I mean, Brian's of course a phenomenal golfer, but I just never saw, like, I don't know. I've just never seen that killer instinct come out of him, and Trey claims it's there.
Maybe they played collegiate golf together, and maybe it's there. Maybe he just doesn't care as much anymore, but I guess he doesn't care about anything anymore because he doesn't get fired up about much.
About shit. But all right, so I told the story on here, and I want you to I want you to tell it. I told this it. I was talking to somebody a few weeks ago about this, and we were in Argentina, and we were already like we had been in a lot of fucking trouble.
Yeah.
So like me, it's mostly me and Charlie Craven. Like it was mostly me and Charlie. Like we got blamed for everything.
Well, you two were the heathens.
Yeah,
so.
we got. I mean, we even got accused at one point of having a fucking food fight at dinner. Like they pulled us to the side and they yelled at us for having a food fight at dinner, and we had Charles Wallig sitting right next to us. I mean, literally, Charlie's on the other side of the table, and I've got Charles Wallig literally sitting on my right-hand side.
Who was the president
of
USA Roller Sports
yes,
at the time.
The bigwig, the main man is there in Argentina with us, sitting right next to us. Everything was fine, and because I guess we were so fucking bad that the coaches automatically believed when someone told them and it was one of the girls on the team.
Yeah.
And they told him that we had a food fight. But I want you again, because I have been at your house, and we spent the night at your house, and when mom and dad would go to sleep, we would take apart a speaker.
Oh boy.
So I already know who Fred is, but you did something, man, that was so fucking hilarious to me. When we were at Worlds, when we were on the bus.
Yeah.
All right. So I think I've told the story here, but I want you to tell this fucking story. I want you to tell it because it's so goddamn funny to me.
Well, I had at this point I had a rough Worlds. I got sick just like the day before Worlds started. We get there
15, right? 97.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was 15.
Yeah. We both. I had just turned 15. You were.
Yep. Yeah. I was 15, and we get there a couple weeks before, ahead of time to, train, get used to the track, everything. And everything was fine. Everything, and then the day before World starts, I start coming down with an upper respiratory infection, and I was having a rough go of it the first couple races, and and I'm like, I grew up, my parents are, they were very strict, and, we went to church and everything, and, it's Southern Baptist, you don't drink, you know what I mean, and, so I liked hip hop. I listened to hip hop. I loved Snoop Dogg, Tupac, Dr. Dre, Biggie. I loved hip hop, and I'm like, just this crazy thought went into my head is that God's punishing me. I got sick. And I'm like, God is punishing me. He's punishing me because I'm listening to this music that I should not be listening to. And so I had all my CDs there, and we're on the team bus. I can't remember if we were heading to the track or going back from the track. I don't know, but I start taking them, and I'm like, Biggie, you're gone. Tupac, you're gone. Snoop Dogg, you're gone. I'm sorry, God. I really felt like I was being punished for this stuff, and it's just, man, that was a lot of money in CDs.
Well, yeah, because I remember, like, I'm sitting next to you on the bus. We hadn't gotten to the point where we weren't talking at this point.
Right.
We were still, because we still had two more.
That was probably about around that time frame.
Yeah, because I think like the next year.
It might have been the next year.
Because that was the year Luke Langer was on the team with us.
Yeah.
It was you, Charlie, Luke, and me
Yeah.
on that team. And that was pretty much the year. Granted, probably a lot of that had to do with me. I was a pretty big asshole. I was a fucking dickhead to Luke. I mean, Luke had already made the team, and we were on road, and man, I had made the team. The team was picked already,
right?
But we still had one last race,
right?
It was done, and it was a long race, and I wasn't gonna fucking finish it. There was no way. But we were at that mall. We were at the parking lot of that mall, and like we were coming down. It was we were still packed up. It was about halfway through a long race. It was a points race or something like that. I knew I wasn't gonna fucking finish it, and so Luke. Again, we're already on the team. So like it's known, like, hey, we're all teammates now.
Right.
But we're still racing for races at Worlds.
Right.
And I fucking bulldogged Luke so goddamn hard coming into a corner. I sprinted in that corner and I just hit him. Boom. Like this. I just fucking plowed into him. And he hit the curb and went over into the grass and shit. And of course they disqualified me. And I remember that night.
What was this? This was the marathon?
It was either the marathon or like a.
I don't even know why you were skating.
Yeah.
The marathon. I don't know why you were skating.
I think at this point it was probably just out of spite.
Yeah.
That was probably just because I was going to do it out of spite. But yeah, I hit him, and he went flying over, and I actually got, and I probably should have got my ass whooped for it. His younger brother Andy. Who I swear to God, I haven't heard from him, but the kid has to have been like, if he wasn't a Navy SEAL or some type of special operations guy, I would be so surprised.
Well, he was on. I believe he did. I believe he did go. I want to say he was. He ended up being an Army Ranger.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
Because he was a fucking badass. And he was a big kid.
Yeah.
He was thick.
Both the Langers
They were big boys.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Andy tried to whoop my ass that night afterwards. He was so mad what I did to his brother. And I probably deserved it. He didn't hit me or anything. I probably should have been fucked up from that, but he didn't hit me. And the reason why I was sitting there, we were at that April whatever the housing
extended stay type place. Yeah.
Yes.
I can't recall the name of it.
Yeah. But we were there, and I was sitting on a bench with a girl, much older girl than me. I won't say her name.
I think I know who you're talking about.
It was a girl who had promised me something if I'd made the world team. and anyway, so Andy and like three other people, they kind of were walking around, and he went to confront me. And of course I'm, arrogant enough to think that I could probably beat him up, which I probably could not have. Anyway, the boys that he was with stopped him. Because they were like, dude, like you're gonna get thrown out of the sport completely.
Yeah.
If you punch him, like this is like the third year I was on the team, so they're like, yeah, dude, if you fucking hit him, you're gone completely. You're gonna get banned.
Yeah.
Even though it was like, not, but I should have had my ass whooped that year. There's probably a lot of ass whoopings I deserve for over the years.
Yeah. Rolling into that, I mean, someone who should have caught an ass whooping multiple times was Harry Vogel. Harry Vogel should have caught an ass whooping many a times.
Yeah.
I wanted to do it. Lord knows I wanted to do it. Especially after that, like I said, my last Worlds. I've still been unable to. It's been almost 20 years now since that happened, and I still I don't think about it all the time, but when it does come up, it's still I hold some ill will there.
His mom was great looking though.
She was a good looking woman.
Yeah,
for sure.
I always liked Harry's dad. I liked Harry's dad in a different way. Harry's dad was always there for Harry. And I liked his dad.
Yeah.
And I thought it was cool that even though they were divorced, they were always there. Both of them were always there for their kid.
Yeah.
Now, whatever.
Together, and they got along great.
Which I thought was awesome. Because you obviously you don't see a whole lot of that these days. So I thought that was always cool. I remember a story about Harry. We were, I don't think you were there this year. We were in France. It might have been 1999. We were in France.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if you were there or not. We were skating senior that year.
Talking when he pitched a fit in the last track of France.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I was there.
Okay. And, he threw this fucking fit. I'm like, dude. What are you fucking doing, man? You're literally one of the fastest people in the world. You're competing. First off, he's 5'4", a little guy. But he was out there competing with all of these seniors that were seasoned, and he's competing with them.
Right.
And he just I guess same thing he did at Worlds, just ups and fucking quits.
Yeah.
And then he goes and throws some goddamn fit on the sideline with a whole bunch of excuses.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? What are you talking about? I remember Jordan Malone and Jonathan Garcia were right there. And Harry it was probably the same situation, but with me and Andy, where I got up and I went to go get in front of and get in his face, and Jordan and Jonathan stopped me. But yeah, I don't know, man. Harry's he's a weird cat.
I wonder what Harry's outlook is on all this stuff. I wonder how he views what went down, that last Worlds. I just wonder, what his view is.
Yeah.
On that. Obviously we know what mine is.
Yeah.
I still hold a grudge on that. I didn't want to.
Is he still skating?
I don't think he's skating now. He skated all the way up until I think probably 2 or 3 years ago, though.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I remember seeing him on Facebook or something like that. Had a Facebook page came up, and he was, I don't know. His legs were fucking huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember that.
He always had some pretty big legs.
Yeah. That's all. I was like, God damn, dude.
It was weird. I remember
because he was skating ice.
I remember, even back when we skated, he something about it because he was short.
Yeah.
He always had some big thighs. But they were real short. His quads were not like they're ours are I'm not tall. We're not tall.
Yeah.
But our legs. Our quads, they reach down. His were always way up, but they were huge.
Yeah,
they're always big.
Yeah,
and but yeah, he did have some big legs. He was. He had some power. For the size, for the height that he was, he generated a lot of power.
Yeah, it was just it was just weird thing, man. I remember seeing him, and I was always impressed by him, because he kind of came out of nowhere, where it was just one year he wasn't there. And then next year, he's there and competitive and just,
Yeah.
he's there.
Yeah.
He's at every, everything.
Yeah.
So, anyway. So, going back a little bit, I think I might have told this story. All the shenanigans and shit we were doing at Worlds in Argentina.
There were a lot.
got so bad.
Someone got shot in the eye with a BB gun. Again, I think we got blamed for it.
Yeah.
It was not us.
So it started with, obviously, around the time that we were there. It was 97. And so at the time, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC were big. That was like, they were the biggest things in the world. Boy bands were the biggest thing in the world. And of course, I had a shaved, my hair was shaved and blonde.
Yeah.
And Charlie's was shaved and blonde. And Matt Steele.
I think that was the year that was our initiation.
Yeah.
We all had shaved heads.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to shave our heads, and you didn't. Your hair wasn't dyed blonde, but I had big earrings.
Yeah.
Yeah, because remember, I got my ears pierced when I was 12. Like and it's so funny now. I guess that's the outlook on life, because, like, you think of, like, in the world we live in today, you know, kids piercing their ears at that age.
Yeah.
Is it a sexuality thing? Is it a gay thing? Whatever. Right. But it was funny because my dad took me. I remember he took me to Greenspoint Mall, Guns Point. Yeah. Because our office was right around the corner. Then I went to work with my dad that day, and he took me to get my ears pierced. I had them both pierced. And I remember going to school. I was literally the only male in school that I was 12 years old, 6th grade, had my ears pierced. But that year, in 97, we were 15, went to an outdoor mall. It was like an off day. It was like a practice day or something like that. Went to an outdoor mall, and that's when we bought those guns, those airsoft guns.
Yeah.
That's the day we bought them.
Outdoor market.
Yeah. But we were sitting down, and we had those, there was that security that would always follow us. And we sat down at a table to have McDonald's.
Yep.
And locals started walking up to us, asking us for autographs. And we were wearing like USA shit.
Right.
Because we always had to.
Yeah.
But they thought we were like NSYNC or Backstreet Boys.
Boy band, yeah.
And so everybody started coming up, and we were signing. You remember signing all the posters, but we were signing our names on them, but we're signing them like on the Backstreet Boys or whatever posters. And the next thing you knew, it was like, it was fucking mayhem. There was hundreds upon hundreds of people that were there just all over us.
Yeah.
And then security grabbed us, and we took off running, went back to the hotel. And that's kind of what started this, I guess. In thinking about it now, like, our heads got so fucking big. It was like we could do whatever the fuck we wanted to do.
Yeah.
And we just got stupid with shit. And we ended up we had these airsoft pistols. Now, I remember vividly, mine it looked like a nickel-plated 45. I mean, they looked real. They looked legit. I mean, that slide action and everything on them. But they fired airsoft.
Right.
And this is the first time I'd ever seen an airsoft pistol. And so we started having these fucking airsoft wars all over the hotel.
Yep.
But even nights before that, we were doing stupid shit.
Yeah.
You remember going up on the roof?
Going up on the roof. Yeah. I don't even, man. We were so stupid. I mean, in a foreign country, you know, going up on the roof, you know, throwing batteries and cinder blocks.
So, I remember the first night we got there. Like, we were so excited to be there. They were giving us a little bit of freedom, and we started roaming around this hotel. And we went upstairs, and we found the roof of this place. And we just started walking around on the roof of this hotel, and we found the building next door to it was under construction, and there were those bricks.
Yeah.
And they were soft. Like, you could break them and crush
clay.
them. Yeah,
they're clay. Yeah.
So there was this spotlight on the corner of the building, and we all started. I know all of us started doing it, and we started taking these fucking bricks and throwing them off the roof.
Terrible.
Oh yeah,
so terrible.
We were aiming. I mean, started out aiming for taxis.
Yeah.
Right, and then somebody got a bright idea to get batteries.
I have no idea who would have.
You don't know who that is? You don't remember who that was?
I have no. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
it was me.
How could? Hey, like, I'm thinking back to this. Like, you threw your batteries out of your fucking CD player anyway.
I think they were dead.
Yeah. So it's like, you can't listen to the rap music anyway. Why the fuck you getting rid of the CDs? You can't listen to them.
At that point, I think all I had was Alanis Morissette left.
So I remember going downstairs and like we got so specific about this. All right. We don't want to get caught. So let's make sure no one can see us. So I went down on the street and I stood on the other opposite corner as a
lookout
to see if and I just remember y'all winging shit off the fucking roof.
I mean, just again, I mean, we're lucky. We're lucky we didn't get arrested, you know, and
yeah.
It was just...
Well, the next morning, well, I don't know, maybe it wasn't the next morning, but it was like, it was within a day or so of us starting this. I'm across the street getting my haircut, and I hear this fucking, I mean, horrific crash. And like the barber stops mid haircut. Granted, I don't have a lot of hair, so he's just like fading up the sides.
Right.
So he goes and we stop and we walk outside, and I look across the street back at the hotel, and there's an 18-wheeler there that's delivering produce. And there's a fucking cinder block through the windshield, like halfway into the dash of this fucking 18-wheeler. And I was like, okay, now shit's getting too fucking, and I didn't say anything because everybody's like, where the fuck that cinder block come from? Like, you know, everybody's like questioning how the hell this cinder block happened. And, of course I knew what had occurred. I know who did it. We know who did it.
Yeah.
It wasn't you, wasn't me.
No, it was not me.
So we know who did it, but and that was pretty much like the start of the downfall for us.
Yeah.
Because everybody knew that it was somebody in our group.
Right.
But
no one ratted anybody out, though.
No one.
I mean, as young as we weren't rats.
No, did not snitch on anybody.
No one got ratted out. But just how dumb were we, man? That's like, you know, you knew where it came from. Everyone knew where it came from. It's like, you can't hide this. Everyone knew.
Well, then, like, of course, from that point on, they had a huge eye on us.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Charlie and I kept getting in trouble for shit, whatever. Then the BB gun, or the airsoft pistol.
Yeah.
We know who shot that person, too.
Yep.
It wasn't a...
Was not a junior.
It was not a male.
Was not a male.
it was somebody else.
That narrowed it down.
Yeah. And they shot this guy from across the way. Whether or not it was an errant, because, you know, everybody had these pistols at this point.
You know, I don't know how. Obviously, no one was trying to shoot the guy in the eye.
Yeah.
I mean, you with an airsoft gun, you're not gonna. They're not that accurate.
No. And not from that distance, because it was across the fucking road. It was like from our hotel across like 4 lanes of road into a condo building across the street.
Yeah.
Through their fucking doors.
Yeah.
Remember that they had like French doors,
yeah.
and they were sitting there at their dining or at their kitchen table, whatever, having dinner.
Yep.
Could you imagine? You're sitting there at dinner, you're whatever, you know, you're with your family, and you get think about it now. A BB comes through and hits you in your goddamn face.
Yeah. Just the man. I don't know, man. It was just things that world's, it was just outrageous.
Yeah.
It was outrageous.
Well, so my mom, of course, my mom traveled with me to a lot of events. She didn't go to the First Worlds in Colombia, which is why I forgot all my underwear, had no underwear there. And I was so much younger and smaller than everybody. I still wore boy size underwear. And like
who gave you
Jordan Nelson he did. Underwear. And they laughed at me. They thought it was so funny because I was so small. Like I wore size 14. And so they were like, well, what size do you wear? You can borrow some of ours. And I'm like 14. And they're like, what the fuck is that? You know, because they're all wearing like medium and large men underwear.
I mean, I think I still wear size 14.
But so my mom,
me and my 3-year-old are going to be wearing the same size here pretty soon.
Yeah, you know? he's gonna get pretty big. But I remember, you know, after Worlds, they always had the big parties.
Yeah.
And we were in so much trouble from Worlds and all the shit that we had gotten, that we actually did and got caught for, and other things that we got accused of that maybe we didn't necessarily do, whatever, that they weren't going to let us go. But they had to let us go because we were getting awards.
Yeah.
Every single one of us was getting some kind of an award at this World. So they ended up letting us go to the party.
With a curfew.
But we, as a team, made a deal. The 4 of us, we said, okay, guys, we all want to hang out together. We all want to have a good time. But we ain't going to do it tonight. We can't do it tonight. And we all went separate directions.
Yep.
And the deal was they can't get us all at one time.
Yeah.
So, like, you went one corner, I went another. Matt and Charlie, they went other corners. And it was funny because we all had...
Because it was a big place.
Huge, yeah. And there was every single world member from all the countries were all there. So there were several hundred people there.
Right.
And, I mean, I'm 15, you're 15. We're drinking, we're getting fucking hammered. And of course it's in South America, and they do the exact opposite there of what bars and restaurants do here, where you get a drink that's like this big, where normally it's like this much alcohol and this much juice. Well, there it's like this much alcohol and this much juice. Yeah. And we're young and small. We're getting just completely fucking hammered. Well, they kept trying to chase us around. I remember I was hanging out with Jorge Botero. Mm-hmm. I was sitting down with him at one point, hanging out with him. And then where were you?
Man, I don't know it's been so long ago. I don't have the memory like you have.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I was somewhere in there. I don't know. I don't even remember who I was hanging out with, honestly. I think I might've been with Chad for a little bit.
Yeah.
But, I don't know where I was. I do remember how we all decided beforehand that we were going to split up because they can't get us all if we're split up.
Yeah.
So I do remember that.
Yeah. So we went these separate directions, and we all got split up, and they kept trying to come get us, and we would sneak off. They would come grab one of us and be like, okay, stay here. We're going to get the other ones.
Yeah.
Didn't happen. We kept fucking sneaking off.
Yeah.
Well, finally they got my mom to come find me. My mom got me. I was obliterated. I was so drunk. And I think she got me. It was me and Matt Steele. She put the 2 of us. Rest in peace, Matt. Put the 2 of us in a taxi. And I was so drunk that I'm dry heaving. I'm about to fucking throw up. And my mom, she's standing outside of the taxi. And because, they didn't let the parents ride with us and shit.
Right.
So my mom's standing outside the taxi, and she's just fucking smacking me over, and she just hit me. Like I'm leaning out of this taxi, like halfway out of it. I'm just like I'm dry heaving so bad. And my mom just keeps fucking slapping me. Slap the back of my head. I can't believe you're going to fucking do this to me. You're so embarrassing. She just, boom. She just fucking hit me again. I'm like, Mom, you got to stop. I'm going to throw up. Mom, you got to stop. And she fucking hit me. And I end up throwing up all over her, like feet and legs and everything.
Dude, you were in so much trouble the next day, I'm sure.
Oh, it was so bad. Well, it was so, but it was so bad. Like, we got back to the hotel. Of course, parents weren't staying with us and everything. And we get back to the hotel, and Matt Steele's dad had made his way, because, well, originally it was me and Charlie staying together.
Right.
And then it was you and Matt staying together. Well, they switched us because Charlie and I were getting in so much fucking trouble. They wanted to switch us. So they ended up putting me and Matt together.
Right.
So when I got back to the hotel room, Matt's dad was in the fucking hotel room with a 12-pack of beer. Ooh, that was a good one. Waiting for us with beer. And we sat there. After I threw up, I was good. And we sat there and drank till like 4 or 5 in the morning. And we were getting on a plane the very next day to head back home. And I remember being so sick on that plane because they could smoke on them.
Yeah. Yeah, at that time you could, yeah.
David Downing was
cigar.
He was sitting like 2 seats behind me, smoking on the plane.
Was it his cigar, right?
It was either cigar. I mean, he was smoking. I'm not sure if it was a cigar or cigarette.
I recall Dave smoking cigarettes. I guess he did.
Yeah, he had like the little it wasn't like a full blown like big cigar. He had, I remember, I don't know. Anyway, but I remember him sitting back there smoking. And it's the only time because now you get on a plane, they don't have those barf bags. Yeah. At the time they did. And I remember fucking throwing up into a barf bag on the plane. Oh, it's the only time I've ever done that. But I got so fucking sick from that.
Was that the same? I think it was the same worlds that I recall something with rubbing alcohol, green rubbing alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For our bearings and everything. We needed something to clean our bearings. Mm-hmm. And they gave us this green rubbing alcohol. And it seized up all of our fucking bearings. Because it cleaned them, but it dried them out so bad that
someone, I think, had a taste for that green rubbing alcohol.
Did you make me drink it? Did somebody make me drink it or something?
I recall you drinking it.
Oh my God. Fuck, man. Maybe that's what's wrong with me. Maybe that's what's
You're
wrong.
Lucky you didn't die.
That I didn't go blind. I always tell everybody, I swear to God, and I tease my mom about this all the time. I'm like, Mom, what kind of drugs did you do when you were pregnant with me? like what did you do? Because, man, what the fuck is wrong with me? And maybe it was the green rubbing alcohol.
I might have done it.
Oh, but yeah, it was that shit. Where were we? God, where were we? We were somewhere, and they made me put icy hot on my balls. It had to have been residency one year.
Oh, I remember. I do remember that. I mean, that sounds something very much like what Chad would have done.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I was always the youngest one. Youngest. I mean, I'm 6 months younger than you. Yeah. But I remember vividly they made me put rubbing alcohol on my balls. And they let me do it myself. But I wasn't smart about it. Like, I was like, okay, it's no big deal. I'm going to get a whole fucking handful of... Oh, you know where it was? You know where it was? You weren't there. We were in Colombia. And those guys hazed me. Because it was Jordan. It was Freddie Young. And I don't remember who the fourth guy was.
Who was that team?
I don't remember. That was 96. I don't remember that. But, of course, I was at a minimum 2 years younger than everybody else there.
Yeah.
And they made me put icy hot on my balls.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was 14, so I barely had hair on them. And so there was no buffer whatsoever. I ended up I remember vividly. It was in my underwear.
You mean that wasn't refreshing?
Oh God, no. Oh, it like seeped backwards. Like it got to my butthole and everything. Oh, it was so goddamn bad. But that world was tough for me because we're in Colombia. It's my first time, like, obviously traveling out of the country,
right?
For sports, and then of course like what was going on down there at the time. Like we were in a secured facility. Like parents weren't allowed to come anywhere near us.
That was 96.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was still pretty rough down there.
Yeah. And I started, for whatever reason, getting severe nosebleeds. And I'm not sure if it was the altitude or whatever, but like I would just be sitting there like at breakfast and my nose would just start gushing blood. And then it would stop and I'd have these like huge blood clots come out. Mm-hmm. And I'm 14 years old and I remember vividly. And I guess it was just everybody saw something in me.
God was punishing you.
God was beating my ass.
Yeah.
But it's like, I guess
I've been there, you know. I know how it goes.
But the team doctor was a guy at this time. I don't remember his name, but he pulled me to the side. And again, this is like, it's like, I think back to it now and it's like, maybe they, I could understand why they would ask this. Maybe they saw something in me kind of like that was just kind of fucking wild. The doctor pulled me aside and he's like, I know we're in Colombia.
Oh boy.
He's like, have you been doing cocaine? And I'm like, what? Like what? Like, and I'm like,
he really asked you.
He did. Yeah. He asked me. And I'm like, first off, and of course I probably wasn't this like clear in speaking it to him, but I'm like, where the fuck am I going to get cocaine? Like, you guys are on top of us all of the time. Like, how am I going to get cocaine?
Right.
Like, you guys have it, like, we're literally staying in a basement. They have us in a secured room in a basement. It's a room, but it's in the lower levels of this hotel. So it's like, in case like an attack comes or something like that, they can lock it down.
Right.
And we're downstairs. So much to the point that when you turn the shower on, the whole fucking room flooded. Like, cause there's like no threshold or seal or nothing for the shower. The whole room, and was tile. So the room would literally fucking flood. And like, we didn't know why there was squeegees in the goddamn room when we got there, but that's why.
Sounds miserable.
It was pretty bad. Like, I mean, we went to all the tracks and there were tanks surrounding the tracks this year. It was a trip. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I got these horrendous nosebleeds and, but it's funny because it actually lasted for, I don't know what it was, but from that, it lasted like several years because my cousin, Tanya, who would live with us, I remember one time we were wrestling and she got on my back and pinned me down and she grabbed my nose and just pinched my nose and my nose just started fucking bleeding all over the place at our house in Tomball. Huh. It was just blood all over the place and it was just the way it was.
All that cocaine?
All that cocaine I did at 14, apparently.
As Rick James would say, cocaine's a hell of a drug. Hell of a drug.
Oh, my God. Speaking of Rick James, have you seen the new Dave Chappelle yet?
I have not. You're talking about his new Netflix series?
Yeah.
I want to see it. I've heard all the uproar about it.
It's like, yeah, of course. They want
the trans community.
Yeah. They want to fucking cancel them out and everything. I think it's
who don't they want to cancel anymore?
Right.
It's unbelievable.
Well, honestly, it's an hour long, and he's telling a story the entire time. Like everything leads into it's a story. He's not telling jokes like some of his other specials. He's actually telling a story the whole time. And he's talking about, of course, all the shit he got into from his last special, where the trans community was coming down on him and stuff. Man, it's so good because it's like the way he tells the story, and it's like, and he talks about vividly. He's got a friend who and I'll probably fuck this story up, but he tells a story about how there was a transgender female, woman or man to woman, who would go to every single one of his shows. Anytime he was in the Bay Area, she would go to his shows, and she was always there, and she was laughing, and at some point he met her, and she was wanting to be a stand-up comedian. That was like her thing. She wanted to be a comedian.
Right.
And so one time he went to San Francisco and he was going to do a show there, and he called her and asked her if she would come up there and do her act.
Right.
For like 45 minutes. And he said she fucking bombed. Horrible. But then when she left the stage, he came out to do his thing and she sat in the front row. And he said that she's laughing at all the jokes, and she's hollering things out as if they're having a conversation, the two of them, and she's saying stuff, right? And people are like she's actually like, now she's funny, apparently, like she's hilariously funny. The crowd is just fucking loving the shit that she's.
So she does stand up now.
Well, she's deceased now.
Oh,
she passed away now.
Okay.
But anyway, he's telling the story, and he became close friends with her. And the point of the story that he's telling is that he made a comment about something about like approval of her or something like that. And she says, and she stopped. And she says something to the effect, I don't need your approval. I'm not looking for your approval. And he just kind of stopped, and she says, I just want you to recognize that I'm human and I'm living this experience. I'm living this human experience.
Right.
And it hit him. Not like with her personally. It just hit him that we all are just going through this experience of life. And everybody just wants to be recognized as who they are. And he started earlier on talking about how he was a feminist. He went through and read the Webster's Dictionary description of what a feminist is. And it literally, again, I'll probably fuck this up, but it's something along the lines of a feminist is somebody who believes that a woman is every bit as capable and qualified and deserving as a man. Mm-hmm. By that definition, I mean, I would be a feminist. You'd be a feminist. Yeah. That's what he was saying. He'd be a feminist. And so he saw this, and he recognized her as a woman. He didn't, call her man, none of that stuff. And he tells this story, and it just gets it's so fucking good, because he's talking about how the transgender community, they want to be recognized, as they should, but they don't want to recognize anybody else. They only want to be recognized the way they want to be recognized. They don't want, and they don't want to allow anybody else to be recognized the way they want to be recognized. They don't want women, biological women, to like they believe biological women should automatically support the transgenders because they're now identifying as women. Right. So they should have the support of all other women. And him being a feminist, he's supportive of this, but how are you going to be transgender and then also say you as a woman, a biological woman, basically you don't get to have your say so in how you recognize anybody. And it's so good the way he talks about it. And he talks about, I think he used the word hitting down. I guess that's a term in that environment. Something about punching down at people in power or whatever, or up here, so to speak. Right. Punching down at people below them to kind of keep them down. And he ends the show by literally saying, he says, I'm not going to say anything more about the transgender community until you realize that we are laughing together. Not at you, but together. Right. And I won't give up on this stance until you stop punching down at us. Right. And our people. Right. And it's so good, and that's what they're calling out for him to be canceled for.
Yeah, I need to watch that.
So good.
I mean, like I said, I've heard all the backlash that he's taking on it, but at the same time, I think he's done a lot of good with it as well, because it's opening some eyes that may have not been opened before. It's and people are starting to push back on all this stuff. They want you. I mean, you said they want. It's funny. They want to be accepted, but they don't accept everyone else.
Right.
And that's the problem. The Democrats, the far left, it's all about they want to be seen as the all accepting, those Republicans, those Trump supporters were all scum of the earth, and yet they don't accept anybody else unless you think just like them. And it's a disease. It's spread fast, and it's caused a lot of issues in this country. It's been very divisive, and we've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah,
a lot of work to do to heal the country and get things back to where it needs to be and where it was.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't always got along, but I don't recall it in my lifetime being this divisive.
No. Yeah, I mean, I told you about this. I told you about where I had a neighbor. I had a situation here with my neighbor. Because, on my house, I fly a black American flag. And I fly the American flag, regular American flag. I fly a black American flag, solid black, and a regular American flag. And of course, the black American flag means no surrender. It's the exact opposite of the white flag. There's no racial connotation to it whatsoever. It's literally meaning no surrender. Right. I will not offer quarter, nor will I accept it. Someone's dying on this battlefield. It's a military, it's a battle flag.
Yeah.
And I told you about I got into some shit with somebody who lives here in this neighborhood. I've never met her. She just posted on our community page. And it's like, well, first off, social media has made it to where everybody feels free. They can say whatever the fuck they want to say without...
That's a big issue.
Yeah. They just get away with it.
Yeah.
Which leads to the funny part of that, where literally everybody, like, where I live. Like, obviously, if like, she made a comment, obviously, about my American flag. Yeah. She made a comment about my American flag. She made comments, and she led into literally a racial divide. And because I called her, what I say she was, that she was prejudiced. And it pissed her off.
Right.
It's immediately she jumps to, well, I'm married to a white man. Well, I've dated black women. Lovely women. How is that any different if I was just to jump up and say, well, I've got black friends? Who were we texting with last night?
Great friend of ours, Narada.
Yeah. And it's like, and she got mad because I called her prejudiced, because she associates prejudice with racism. No, prejudice is literally having an opinion about somebody without having any background, without you've
any
never met them.
Knowledge of who that person is, what they're about, what they stand for.
But of course, at the house, I have all my Trump stuff in the yard. I still have my flag, all the stuff in my yard. And so immediately she jumps on this, and everybody in the community. Now, granted, the moderator or the admin or whatever ended up deleting all the comments, deleted the whole thread, because this lady got out of control. Like, she was making threats on there. Oh, I wake up every morning ready to fight. I'll fight anybody, blah, blah. You're like, woman, you're almost 50 years old.
Move these coals around a little bit.
Yeah. She ends up getting mad because I called her prejudiced. And she jumps to this racial stuff, and everybody in the community starts saying to her, hey, look, we live in a neighborhood, we live in a community You know where he lives. You know where he's at. Why not just be a neighbor and walk over? Right. Because the issue wasn't even my flag or anything like that. It was about one of my vehicles parked in the road, which HOA says that I can have out there for 24 hours, and it had been moved. And anyway, that right there, social media, they think people, it's not a race thing, it's not a gender thing, people think that they can say shit on there, not suffer the ramifications of it, and not be called to the mat on it.
Right.
They can just say whatever the fuck they want to say. When, I mean, that's just such, I mean, to me, it's such a, I mean, and granted, look.
It's emboldened people. It's given people a megaphone that, you know, what? I don't know. It's only been, how long? 15 years? When did MySpace come into play?
Oh, I think I got my MySpace page in 2006.
Yeah, I mean, the social media, you know, it's really, and I don't even know if it's really any different than what it always was. It's just so many people have this bullhorn now. You know, they can, you know, everyone has a platform.
Yeah.
Before it was just, you know, celebrities and athletes, you know, who were in the light, you know, and had, you know, were up in front of everybody and they could say things and be heard. Now everyone has that.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't know. I don't know if things are any different than the way they used to be. It's just everyone has a platform to speak from now, and it just makes it just amplifies things.
Yeah, because I think you got like we had the conversation a couple weeks ago about the cell phones, like how cell phones, you know, the ones that were in the cars versus today, stuff like that. But yeah, now it's like you have the ability to get your voice out there, which is great. It's great. Hey, everybody should be able to say whatever the fuck they want to say. Fine. But let me ask you something. Have you ever known me to say something online that I would not say in person?
No. Nope.
And there's so many people there's things they would never say in person. And I say some horrendous shit. I really do. I mean, to me, it's my fucked up mind, and I think shit's funny like that. It's like I posted something this was a conversation I had with a woman. She went through a situation. She was having an issue with a guy she'd been dating, and she's a friend of mine, and I literally said to her, I said, because she was so broken up about what this guy did. This guy did some stupid shit. And I said, look, you realize what you have, right? And she's like, what? I was like,
I saw the post earlier today.
I was like, yeah, you got a vagina. Like, and I know the way that sounds, like, look, you're in control here. I know, I actually had this thought. I wanted to talk to you about this. Who's in fucking charge in this world?
Oh, I mean, the women are.
Fuck yeah, they are.
Absolutely, the women are.
Why do we do 90% of the shit that men do? Why do we do it?
It's all for the women.
Goddamn right. When you're young and you want a cool car.
You want that to impress the women.
Yeah. And so I had to remind her, I said, you realize that you're in fucking control here. You got a vagina. You literally, I told her, I said, you have the most expensive real estate in the world. You and every other woman in the world. Like, don't sit here and tear yourself apart because you didn't do anything. And the guy, you know, and you guys weren't dating that long to begin with. But I'm like, but anyway, that's actually something I said to her. And of course I put it online. I didn't use her name or anything like that. But I would never say something in private or online that I wouldn't say in private. That's not who I am. I wouldn't do that.
Right. But you have a lot of people nowadays, you know, keyboard warriors.
Yeah.
That they will just say this outrageous stuff online because there's no repercussions.
Yeah.
You know, it depends on, you know, 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 you your political stance, and because now we're,
let's go, Brandon.
We're all monitored.
Yeah,
we're all monitored. You can't say we can't post things about Trump. We can't post things about the vaccines. We can't post things about COVID.
Yeah,
it's all erased right away.
Well, even here on YouTube, they announced that they are
my bad. I think I just got our show canceled.
No.
I said the vaccines and COVID.
No, we can talk about it. But no, they are taking down. They made it very clear that they are taking down pages that are specifically about anti-vaccination.
Yeah.
Now, I'm pretty sure you and I have the same opinion on this. That
pretty sure.
I'm sure. I'm not going to get it.
I'm not going to get it.
Okay. Now, are you opposed to somebody else getting it?
No, absolutely not. Everybody should have their own. Everybody should be able to make their own decisions.
Right. And there's such a large, and that's what it drives me. It drives me crazy when I think about it. It's like
you're not allowed to oppose the left.
Yeah, and that's the hard part. Are you 100% opposed to the vaccine?
No.
Neither am I.
No. Like I said, everyone should be able to make their own decisions.
Yeah.
Everyone.
And so but if you are vehemently against it and say that no one should get it and there's no reason why anybody should have it and all this other stuff, then like you're going to be completely shut down, which I think is crazy because I mean, we all have. Are your parents vaccinated?
No.
Okay. My mom is. I'm pretty sure probably my sister and her husband are. But we have a lot of friends who are vaccinated.
Listen, I think the vaccine makes sense for a lot of people, with underlying conditions, elderly, I think it makes a lot of sense because it makes sense. It makes sense for them. It doesn't make sense for a lot of other people, though. It doesn't make sense for the younger people. It doesn't make sense for the younger, healthy people.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense for kids, for sure.
Yeah.
And...
Well, you told me a story about some kids.
Yeah.
Where was that? Was it here in...
I don't recall where it was. It was in the news last week. Two sisters went in. They were 4 and 5 years old. The parents took them to get the flu vaccine, and the doctor, I don't know if it was a doctor's office. I don't know if maybe they went to CVS. I don't know where it was, but they mixed up the flu vaccine and the COVID vaccine, and the two girls, they gave the 4 and 5 year old girls adult doses of the COVID vaccine.
Now, obviously, we can't not pulling anything up here. We don't have Whipping Boy here right now. He could probably pull it up if he was here, but
yeah.
I'm curious. I mean, I'd like to see the details on it and see about it, but
and the way that came out was wherever it was that they went called them the next day and told them, "Hey, we mixed them up."
Really?
So that's how it came out. So this isn't hearsay. This was on the news. Do
we listen to everything that's on the news? Do we believe everything?
No, we don't. But
yeah,
not now, nowadays. But I mean, who knows? But if this truly did happen, that's a terrible mistake.
Yeah,
terrible mistake. And we're talking, kids don't get the same medications and doses that adults do.
No, God no.
And this supposedly was the adult dose. I don't think they even have a vaccine yet for kids that age.
Well, actually, you know what? Think about this. Skating. There was apparently an outbreak from indoor nationals.
Yeah.
A COVID outbreak. I mean, several thousand people there. And there was an outbreak. And something like 40 or 50% of the people that got COVID and were very sick were vaccinated. skaters and skaters' families.
Funny how that happens, right?
Yeah, kind of crazy.
When we're all told that if you don't get the vaccine, you're the issue.
Well, yeah, because I mean, that's to me. The drum that I was beating about this the whole time is, again, I'm not anti-vaccination. I'm not that. It makes sense for people to have it.
Right.
But the way it was sold to us, the way all of this was sold to us in the beginning was, wipe off my chapstick for you. The way that it was sold to us, the whole vaccination thing from the very beginning was get vaccinated, return to normal.
Right.
The way the masks started.
Right.
Started with that. You start with the mask, 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Then the next thing you know, masks, you wear a mask, we can, all this stuff. And then now it's vaccination. Vaccination it was being sold as a way to get back to normal.
Right.
And it's not even returning the people who got the vaccination back to normal.
Right. In fact, it's becoming more of a issue in the vaccinated community that, on top of everything else, and this is another thing, we don't know, we still don't know everything there's to know about COVID itself.
Right.
We know even less about the vaccine. So now you're putting something that we know nothing about into your body, and you're still capable of coming down with COVID, and you're still capable of spreading it. Yet here the unvaccinated are being demonized.
Yeah.
And I just, it's just a messed up.
Well, think about this. You and I are sitting here sharing a hookah.
Right.
How many times we do this?
2-3 times a week.
You've had COVID.
I have.
I've had COVID.
Yeah.
With all this shit going on, have you gotten sick one time? I mean, we're literally same thing.
No, and that's one thing that's being overlooked. Is not overlooked. I guess it depends on what news people are following, but it's the antibodies of the people that have been sick, have had COVID. They're still trying to force people that have been sick and have the antibodies from being sick from it, who are, again, it's all news and there's all kinds of different science out there, but it's...
And we're not scientists.
No.
In any way.
No, not at all.
These are just our opinions.
This is opinion and going off the news and the science that's out there, that if you've had it, you're more protected than the vaccine, but yet they're not telling you that.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the only thing that bothers me about the whole situation is that it's almost as if, I mean, granted, the business that I'm in and the things I've seen and places I've been, I understand that there's always something else. There's, you can have, it's like the stock market. There's people, obviously we want the stock market to go up.
Right.
But there are people that hedge against it going down. Their bet is that it's going to go down.
Right.
So there are always people out there that there are people, obviously the world as a whole should benefit if COVID goes away. But like that. The benefit if it goes away, but there's people out there, and probably a lot of people who benefit if it doesn't go away.
Oh, absolutely. Moderna, Johnson and Johnson. I mean, it just, we're sitting here talking about all this, and we have our opinion on the vaccine and COVID and everything else. It hits closer to home with you. Your dad died. Your dad came down with COVID, and he may not have died from COVID, but it certainly didn't help him. And but that hit super close to home with you.
Yeah.
And yet you still have this opinion. And it's
well, I will say this. My dad wasn't in, he didn't take care of himself a lot. Which never hindered him.
Did he get the vaccine?
No. Mm-mm. I don't think he had an opportunity to get it. It wasn't
out.
It wasn't widely available for him to be able to get it. Like, it was available for first responders. He could have gotten it because, like me, registered as a first responder. He could have gotten it. I just don't think he was in a position to go do it, to get it. But my father, he was a high risk.
Yeah.
You know, he had everything going on. When everything happened in the very beginning, we shut down the office for like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
For him. It was solely for his protection.
Right. Those are the people that we need to protect. Everyone else should have been able to go along with their daily life.
Which I did. I did. Yeah, I still went out and went to job sites, and I traveled and I did all that stuff. I had to. But we shut down the office, so no one was in direct contact with him. And then when he came back, he never enforced a mask or anything like that. He was never about that. He never wanted anybody to have to wear a mask at work or anything like that. But he was, all of a sudden, it was, there's hand sanitizer everywhere. Yeah. There's all that stuff, which is good. People, I mean, you're coming in contact with people. I mean, I was having people go in and sterilize his office. I had him wipe down his office the day before he came back, and I made sure that they would wipe it down and clean it and like sterilize his office like once a week.
Yeah.
But my father was a huge I want a pro-choice kind of person.
Yeah.
He wasn't like necessarily like he wasn't like a big supporter of like abortion and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But he was a supporter of you doing what's best for you as a person. And yeah, my father died from complications of COVID. I mean, it destroyed his lungs. And I think what he would send out in emails at the end of emails is, hey, stay safe, protect yourself kind of thing. Do your thing.
Yeah.
For you and your family, whatever that means.
Right.
But he was never the kind of person that would say, I don't think to this day he would be out there telling people to get vaccinated.
Right.
I don't think he would ever do that.
Right.
I just don't think he would ever be that kind of person.
Well, and then, everything that we're seeing with the vaccine anyways, it's it is not guaranteeing you anything.
I honestly think that the vaccine, well, we've seen this with like bodybuilders.
Yeah.
A lot of bodybuilders have been dying recently, and I think every single one of them that passed away had recently been vaccinated. And it was, look, when you're bodybuilding to that point, yes, you've got a lot of shit in your system.
Yeah.
It makes me think of something I wanted to tell you about this. I didn't tell you about this. But they're putting a lot of shit into their bodies, and they're very vascular. Their veins are very, very big. Right. And the vaccine, just like COVID, causes blood clots.
Yeah.
And with these bodybuilders, their veins and stuff are they're thinner. Their skin's thinner. And these blood clots are...
On top of that, bodybuilders typically take steroids. Steroids thickens your blood as well.
Yeah.
So it's almost it's just dynamic.
Well, that's the thing is they're taking steroids, which is thickening their blood, and then they're taking shit that make their veins bigger and more vascular, so the blood can flow through it and they get more oxygen and everything else. And with that thick blood, it's clotting. And again, I'm not a scientist, but this is kind of what I've been reading about these guys, and they're dying from the same thing.
Right.
And my father, ultimately, what did him in was he did have pneumonia and then COVID. Recovered from both, but while he was recovering, he got a massive blood clot. And that blood clot got into his lungs. And that it just bounced around, essentially. Because your lungs is like, we think of our lungs as like this solid thing. It's little air sacs. It's little bitty air sacs.
Yeah.
And it basically got in his lungs and just moved around and just destroyed all these air sacs. And he wasn't, like, his lungs were just gone.
Yeah.
I mean, he was having to be on complete oxygen. And my father wasn't a smoker. He was overweight and diabetic and stuff like that, but he wasn't, he wouldn't to the point where his lungs should be destroyed.
Right.
But
my point in bringing that up was just the fact that even with it hitting so close to home, it still didn't change your outlook on everything, you know, and it shouldn't have. It shouldn't have, especially with what's happening still.
Right. No. Yeah, it actually solidified my position more.
Yeah.
My father was an extremely brilliant, strong man, and the way his brain worked was so phenomenal. It was a beautiful, beautiful brain. It was funny because I see myself as a little creative. I guess I am creative.
Yeah, absolutely.
I build and write and stuff like that.
All the wood shop stuff.
Yeah. But my father had a creativity. Like he could think of stuff and names, and I can't do that. Like the way his brain worked, it was amazing to me. And he would just see things in a certain way that I never saw it.
Yeah.
Until he passed away. And it was almost like I started seeing the world, and my life changed. You know that. My life changed. I mean, I came over to your house and I fucking cried.
Yeah.
You know, you hugged me for like 20 minutes, man, and I fucking cried. My life changed completely, and it's all of a sudden, it's like now I started seeing the world the way my dad saw it, almost. Maybe that was just like shit being kind of thrust upon me, and now I have to responsibilities in a different way. And I saw it where the understanding of two sides of things grew for me. That's the way his mind worked. He understood things. He understood the world. He knew how things worked. And he was able to, at the same time, have his opinion very strongly of something, very, very strongly of something, but still have love and compassion for people that thought differently than him. Would probably never agree with them, agree to disagree kind of thing, but he understood them. And my world for that changed. It became completely different when my dad passed away. And I just saw it differently that way, where I said, I get what you guys are saying. I get what you think is the best thing. But you have to understand what I think as well. Yeah. And I think that actually is what made my position more solid, because people don't want to see my side of it.
Right.
Less and less do people want to see our side of things.
Right.
They want us to operate on that side.
Right.
So, yeah. So that actually solidified my mind a little bit harder on my position in certain things. It was just that.
Right.
It's kind of weird, but
yeah. Well, it's just that's the way that's the direction that this country's gone to this point. You know, it's just if you don't have the same views as the next person, then you're bad.
Yeah. Well, change it up a little bit. I didn't tell you about this. I walked into the locker room the other day, and there's this big guy at the gym. He's big, really big guy. He's probably 6'2", 6'3" already. He's big guy, super, super muscular. And you can tell, we've been around enough people who've taken steroids. Mm. We know some people that skated that we know for a fact were taking steroids.
Yeah.
Speculation on others.
Yeah, yeah.
But this guy was clearly taking steroids. And when I walk in the locker room, there's this big mirror. It's the mirror that I'll always take a picture in front of and post and make fun of myself at. He was standing in front of it. He'd taken his shirt off, and he's fucking big. But his veins are popping out and everything, and you can tell like his skin is thin because he's like dehydrating himself a little bit, maybe getting ready for a show or something like that. Yeah. I don't know. Low body fat, Guy looks phenomenal. But there's a couple younger guys in there, and I would say he's probably in his late 20s, early 30s, this guy. And some kids are in there, probably teenagers, late teens, early 20s, and they're asking him how he got that way. Like, right. And I walked in, he's like, "You got to eat, man."
Yeah. I've gotten that answer. I've gotten that answer multiple times. It's hilarious.
And I'm looking at him because I've been around enough bodybuilders to know the shit that he's on. Look, I worked out with an old guy. It was like last year. I was working out with this old man. He was like 67, 68 years old. And he was on steroids. And he told me for a fact he was on steroids.
Yeah.
Now look, I'm strong, you're strong. We can move the 130-pound dumbbells. We can pick them up and do bench press with them. Can you do 5 sets of 15 with them? No. This old man, he's 67 years old. I know for a fact he's on steroids because he told me he's on steroids.
Right.
Like he told me, like he would come to the gym and tell me like he injected that day, and so we have to do a particular workout. So I knew, factually he was on steroids. He told me he was. And I'm watching this guy, 67 years old, pick up the 130-pound dumbbells, and he's literally doing them for reps. Bench press. These dumbbells. Now, I can do, with the 130s, I can do 4 sets of like 8 to 10. But I got to take a 2-minute rest in between.
Right.
This motherfucker's picking up these dumbbells, and he's doing like 1-minute rest in between. Like, and just crushing it. This other guy, the guy I'm talking about, I'm watching him fucking curl 80-pound dumbbells. I'm watching him do shoulder press with 120-pound dumbbells. Yeah. You know, what I never saw the guy doing was any like leg workout. Yeah.
Skipped leg day.
Yeah. It was but when I walked into this conversation, it was the funniest fucking thing because I just sat there and I'm looking at him. And I didn't say anything, but he's telling these kids, "Oh yeah, you just got to eat. Just got to eat and drink water." And I'm like, "You fucker, dude." Don't tell these kids this shit. Cuz like today I went in to kind of do a recovery thing. Went and worked my Kegels. Yeah. Guys don't have those, do we?
I don't think so.
I don't think we do.
I'm not a scientist or a doctor.
I don't think we've got them. but like my hips hurt from deadlifts and squats and stuff.
Yeah.
So I was doing these. I went and did like some leg extensions and back extensions, and I did the hip abductor machine and the it's adductor ADD, and then there's abductor ABD.
Okay.
One is like where your legs are here and you're pressing them apart.
Yeah.
And then the other one is where your legs are out and you're squeezing them in.
Right.
I'm not sure which one is fucking which. But anyway, I was watching these 2 young kids. They were in there. And they're in there all the time. And they're only working out upper body. They're only working out like they were doing like flies and like they were doing machines for like chest and shoulders and stuff like that. And no real fucking routine. I mean, they're literally working every part of their upper body in one day. And I wanted to stop. I wanted to say something to them. I mean, they're probably 15, 16 years old, right? And I wanted to stop and say something to them because you and I are fortunate.
Yeah.
Because we skated. So our legs were super strong. But I wanted to stop and say something to these kids and say, "Look, guys, you're 15, 16 years old, however, you could be 18 years old. I don't give a fuck. The biggest thing you could do today for the next year, 2 years, is work your fucking legs. I'd care less if you do upper body 1 day a week. You need to get in here and you need to do squats. You need to do deadlifts and you need to do all that shit because that's what's going to grow you.
It's your base.
For a man, it increases your testosterone, increases your libido. I mean, good luck. You know what I'm talking about? Getting
strong like bull.
That's right, strong like bull. But I'm like, I wanted to save these kids because they did their entire body except for legs. And I'm like, man, y'all skipping that at this point in your life, you're literally hindering yourself.
You should have stopped.
I know, but I'm also that kind of person. Like, I'm in the gym, I'm headbanging, and I'm kind of in my own world. I don't want to be that guy that walks up to people like, hey, you're doing it wrong.
Mentor them.
Yeah. I'm thinking to myself, like, I don't know how old they are. They probably didn't drive themselves there. They didn't look old enough to drive.
Yeah.
They probably came there with the mom or dad. Mom might have been in yoga. Dad was out doing whatever. But I'm thinking to myself, okay, now maybe their dad needs to tell them that shit. But I really sat back and because I was doing leg extensions and they were running all these machines right in front of me. So I saw them for like 45 minutes right there. I was like, man, I really wish do I want to say something to him? But I didn't want to be an asshole.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
So, but anyway.
I get it. I've done the same thing. It's, but it's, I have taken others, under my wing from time to time, but, no, I get it. You don't want to, it's a awkward situation.
Yeah.
The wife.
Yeah.
The wife is,
I was about to say, we're gonna wrap it up. I want to end this being the first show here in the studio, you being the first guest. I wanted to end it by saying thank you to you. I end most of my shows by telling people that they should show gratitude. The world we live in today, people don't express enough gratitude. They might say thank you for something, but then they don't repay it. You know what I mean? I want to say thank you to you for being my friend. As everybody knows, I went through a lot of stupid shit. And you and I were separated for many, many years. But the moment I needed you, you were there. You were there for me the way a brother would be. And I call you my brother to this day. I introduce, if I talk to anybody, you're my brother. These are my nieces and nephews and stuff. You and your family over the past 3 years have been there for me in so many ways that you don't even know. Just being there. And so I want to say to you, thank you. Thank you for being my friend. Thank you for being my brother. Thank you for being there for me. Thank you for letting me fucking cry on you for 20 fucking minutes. You don't know how you have improved my life, how you've helped me. It's hard for me to express those in words. It's like me talking about Waylon. But thank you, Fred. Thank you for everything you have done for me. Just being there. And I want to say that I am grateful, and I wish that everybody had a friend like you. Because again, for me, in my mind, we talk about this. We've known each other for 30 years.
Yeah.
We've been through some shit. We've done shit. We've separated. We developed and grew our own lives, and we came back together.
Yeah.
Man, how fucking fortunate are we?
It's been a long, winding road.
But you said something to me yesterday. We were talking about the weather. You said something to me yesterday. You said it was beautiful outside. It was like 72 degrees with a nice little breeze or something like that.
Yeah.
And you said that in Houston, if it wasn't for all the shitty days that we have here, all the horrible, nasty days that are hot and everything, if it wasn't for all those days, we wouldn't be able to appreciate this day.
Right.
And I can safely say that if it hadn't been for all of the shit over the past 30 years, I wouldn't be able to appreciate you.
Man, I don't even know where to go with that. I don't deserve that. I don't. Man, no, I guess you're welcome. No, I absolutely feel the same way.
Everybody, I know anybody's watching this right now. They're like, are they going to kiss now? Is that what's going to happen?
Awkward.
Yeah. No, man.
No, I absolutely. I feel the same way, and it's just crazy. It's crazy how we've come back together. You know, literally we were, I don't know, it was 15 years we probably didn't see or say a word to each other.
Yeah.
You know, but it took that time to grow up and realize what really matters.
Yeah.
And I'm, as much as that sucked, you know, it's what was needed. You know, I think it was what was needed, and we're able to look back and realize what's really, you know, what caused the issues, and how to move forward and appreciate each other even more.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you, and you are a brother to me.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Thank you for being my first guest. Thank you for everything, Fred. And man, that's anything else? Anything?
Save it for the next show.
Fuck Joe Biden?
FJB.
There you go, man. All right, brother.
Let's go, Brandon.
That's it, man. All right.